Hello there and welcome to the Cup That Matters. I'm Himanshu Singhal and India have beaten West Indies by 4 wickets at Perth, becoming the first team from Pool B to qualify for the quarterfinals. I've got a power-packed panel here with me, Andrew Simons, Nikhil Chopra, Boria Majumdar and Shivani Gupta, who's joining us from Perth. Let's go straight to Shivani now. Shivani, what an exciting win. India would definitely be relieved at the fact that they've finally won after losing so many wickets.
Delighted with India's win. We won't give it back is the mantra here. India winning the title?
Yes, we will win the title, yeah!
Are you supporting India too?
Very much so. I love India.
I love India.
I love India.
Also the mantra here, Himanshu, that we are hearing is that ab ki baar cup hamara hai, next Australia ki baari hai. Fans are going delirious over here. It turned out to be a tough one. Were you worried at all when they were 5 down?
Yeah, I was a bit scared because I watched England and India match, and I know this pitch is really bouncy. When India was 6 down, I was like, holy shit, man. They just need to play cricket. No need of playing big shots, 4 and 6. But thank God Dhoni came in, he played a beautiful inning. Proud of Dhoni as always. Thank you so much.
All right. Turned out to be a tricky chase. Low scoring chases are always a little bit tricky. But in the end, India coming out on the winning side, winning their first 4 matches in the group stage. That is the best performance by India in a long, long time in a World Cup. Remember in 1983, they won 4 consecutive matches. I have another fan here who's played Holi as well. Yes, Holi and Kohli, it couldn't turn out to be that, but it was Holi and Dhoni. Himanshu, back to you.
Right, Shivani, there's no doubt it's a perfect Holi gift by the men in blue to all these fans and to everyone back here in India. Can you please ask the fans about their plans from now on? How are they planning to celebrate and how were they really cheering in the stands while the match was on?
How are you going to celebrate Holi now?
I'm celebrating widely with my family. Because
how are you going to party tonight? How are you going to party tonight?
It's a big party.
Celebrate Holi.
Should be a celebration.
To get this win under the bag, Himanshu.
Right, Shivani. Stay with us. I'll come back to you in a bit. Andrew, India have got to be really relieved that they finally won this game. I'm sure, you know, the fans as well as Dhoni's heart must have skipped the heartbeat.
Yeah, they threatened to build a partnership throughout the whole innings. You know, Kohli looked good till he had a little bit of a hook at one, got caught. But then towards the end, Dhoni came in and he's got a real authority with his men. You saw during his innings with Ashwin at the end there, he had a little chop at him, telling him to sort of keep his eyes on him. And you know, they didn't want a silly incident at that point when they were starting to build the partnership that ultimately got them home. So he was really up for a fight tonight, I thought, Dhoni. I thought he applied himself excellently again. Yeah, he looks really keen to do well in this World Cup again. And you can see by the attitude that he showed batting there today to make sure his men got over the line.
Right, Boria, some really reckless, irresponsible batting by both the teams, not only India, but I'm sure India must be really relieved that they have finally won.
Look at the positives, Himanshu, look at the positives. You wanted Mahendra Singh Dhoni to get a knock in the middle. You wanted him to spend time out in the middle. I mean, the top order had fired. The middle order and the lower middle order did not get the chance to bat. Today, Ravichandran Ashwin got a hit. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, superb innings to finish it off. So all these people have got it under their belt. So going into the business end of the tournament, you wanted Mahendra Singh Dhoni to come into the party because he's a champion one-day player, and under him, you know, you need Dhoni to finish, and that's what he did. So you've already got Kohli, Rahane and these people in form. Now you've got Dhoni as well. Yes, it was a tricky chase. Andrew and Nikhil said it in the break. Shivani also said it. Some of the fans said it. I'm glad India won, and I'm also glad there was a fight. I did not want a canter because you need to be prepared. Ask Shivani, why are they not sort of putting colours on her? Why is she not playing Holi there?
Shivani, you've heard that question from Borea. Why are they not putting colours on you? Why aren't you playing Holi?
Well, we are trying to play Holi, but everybody is busy chanting. Are we going to play Holi, guys, or not? You have some colours. Let's play Holi. Let's bring some colours here and play some Holi. Come.
Right, so incredible scenes there right outside the Waka Stadium in Perth. Andrew, what do you think really went right or correct in favour of India after, of course, suffering the early dismissals of some of the key batsmen? Of course, the openers struggled, even the middle order got starts, but they just couldn't capitalise on those starts. What do you think really went in India's favour? Was it just that knock from Mahendra Singh Dhoni that really tilted the scales in India's favour, or was it, a couple of other partnerships that they got?
Yeah, I thought Taylor bowled well early, swung the ball and bowled the Indian batsman out. The Indian batsman got out to good bowling rather than bad shots. There was two things I thought during the West Indies innings that I thought contributed, and that was the decision making of the captain Holder. He brought Samuels into the game to bowl his off spin. The game was never going to go 50 overs. I didn't think he needed that fifth bowler to bowl. He needed to make his best bowlers bowl all their overs out to make sure India earned their runs completely. And the second thing was I thought he used Dwayne Smith for an over too long when the game was really in the balance. And then when Dhoni hit that six, I thought that was when the West Indies sort of lost hope a little bit, and Dhoni had settled in with his partner in Ashwin, and they were comfortably moving towards the finish line.
Nikhil, just the perfect Holi gift that fans back home wanted from Dhoni's men?
Well, without a doubt. Now if you look at the entire composition of the side, the balance, all the 11 guys have contributed somewhere in their own manner towards victories. Whether it's the bowling out there, get a hit. He's got that. He's got Team India on the other side of the line. These are good signs for Team India. Yes, I would have liked to see some of those batsmen who've got stars should have been able to get bigger scores and finish this, because at the end of the day, 180 odd, you didn't need to go out there and hook and pull the number of shots that they did. At Perth, Waka, if the bounce is troubling you, you had all the time in the world. You could have left a few deliveries alone. Sometimes you need to, Himanshu, analyze the situation and bat according to that. You had a perfect opportunity to convert those starts, but hey, I guess at least Team India has won. We got 2 points in the bag.
Right, let's once again go across to Shivani, who's right outside the stadium. Shivani, let's have a cheering contest if the fans are game for it. Let's see who amongst the fans can really come up with the loudest cheer for Team India now after that perfect Holi gift from Dhoni's men.
Well, they're already cheering quite a bit. I have young children, women, men, everybody here. Let's have the loudest cheer possible. Who is up for it?
India on the top!
Well, I hope that's loud enough for you, Himanshu, because it's quite loud for me here. Amongst the fans here, they're delirious, absolutely delirious. It might have got tough at one point, but it turned out to be a very, very sweet victory, especially on Holi. Nothing could be better than that. Young children celebrating the win with gusto here. It's as loud as it can get right now. Shouts and vuvuzelas and whatnot. Everybody is completely over here because of that win. And it shows that India is a firm contender for the title. Everybody here feels that they are going to win the title. We won't give it back.
Well, they certainly won't give it back.
Never. No, we were very sure about that.
Yeah. Now you feel that India is unstoppable?
Yep, sure. There's no doubt at all.
India's on the top. We have faith on our team.
India's on the top.
Yeah. And how are you guys going to play Holi now? Are you going to celebrate Holi?
Yeah.
Shivani.
Right, it's Holi and it's a double celebration here with the win against West Indies.
Right, Shivani, let's also get the fans to pose their questions to Nikhil and Andrew here in the studio.
Well, that's going to be quite tough right now, but I'm going to try the best that I can. Do you have a question for our expert? Because it's going to be a jostling match. All right. Let's have some questions for our experts. You want to ask Andrew Simons or Nikhil Chopra something?
Not really, because we are going to win anyways.
All right, fans are confident they're going to win. No questions for our experts. Do you want any questions from Andrew or Nikhil? Any questions?
I just want to say that India played amazing. What a decision, what a batting by Dhoni, Raina, amazing. We played Holi with Dhoni and that was amazing.
In between wicket was the very fine in between West Indies and India.
What about the catching today? What about the catching? We dropped 4 catches today.
Yeah, we dropped 4 catches, but India still won. Dhoni!
Fans are, well, they're happy. There are no questions really right now. Not the time for asking questions, but the time to celebrate Himanshu. This party here is going to continue for quite some time, isn't it? Everyone's going to keep partying for quite some time.
Exactly, Shivani. Well, stay with us. Well, stay with us, Shivani. We'll come back to you in a bit. Andrew, of course, credit needs to be given to the West Indies bowling as well for testing the Indian batting, the famed Indian batting with a lot of depth in it as well today.
Yeah, they bowled with venom early on though. They had some real intent. They swung the ball. Rohit Sharma got a good delivery early on. They gave themselves a chance. They beat the outside edger a number of times, the West Indies bowlers. Did they create enough chances to win the game? I thought they were probably 1, maybe 2 chances short when they were sort of 40 runs out from the end. But I thought that might have been a little bit of decision making, as I said earlier. But no question, they did have a real crack at trying to bowl India out tonight. So they can't completely lose heart. I thought their bowling unit bowled very well. They just didn't score enough runs.
India beaten West Indies by 4 wickets, a day of celebration. And on your screens now, the 4 Indian wins so far. India beat, of course, Pakistan by 76 runs at Adelaide to kickstart their campaign on a winning note, and then went on to beat South Africa by 130 runs at Melbourne. And then, of course, the third big victory came against the UAE. That watch, India won that game by 9 wickets at the Perth ground, exactly the same ground where India won today's game as well. So scenes of celebration outside that stadium that we saw just a short while ago. Fans going hysterical. And of course, Boria, you've been covering cricket for such a long time. Have you ever seen visuals like those outside that stadium in Perth?
Hey, listen, you've taken my question. That was the question I was about to ask Andrew, the legend of the game that he is. I've covered 20 years of Indian cricket, in fact more. I've seen this. I've seen this in 2011. But Andrew, when you have won, multiple tournaments, including World Cups, will you ever see Australian fans do this? Will you ever see them take over Adelaide, take over Melbourne, take over Perth? Perth is half as Melbourne. I mean, I was swept off my feet in Melbourne. Will you agree that these fans make international cricket what it is, and India actually is the home of cricket?
Absolutely, mate. The amount of people that have travelled to Australia from different parts of the world who are Indian supporters is incredible. There's people from London there. There's obviously a lot of people from India as well, but they've just taken over the cricket grounds in Australia when India have played. It's been incredible to see. I would have thought there would have been more Australians or, more foreigners from other countries as well going to watch their teams, but India have taken over stadiums, and you saw the pictures there before. I was just saying to Nick Hill, it looked like this game was actually being played in India as it did at the MCG. So as the crowds are pouring out of the grounds, the people are gathering there, and they're obviously enjoying the celebrations of Holi there today as well. So it's a big night for the Indian fans, and really enjoying themselves, and obviously enjoying being in Australia.
Right. In fact, Andrew, just to add to your answer, Mohammad Shami has been judged the man of the match in this game, rightfully for his figures of 3 for 35. Do you think he was perhaps the best guy to win the man of the match award today?
Yeah, he was the man of the match, no doubt. He bowled with good vigour, swung the ball early. He could have very easily had 4 wickets actually, but had a drop catch. So yeah, he was the difference between the sides. He was a wicket taker, really choked the West Indies batting today, so he was a deserved winner of that award.
Well, Nikhil, Dhoni's got to consider himself to be really lucky, dropping all those catches, losing all those wickets to reckless shots, and India have still emerged victorious out of this game.
Well, that's thanks to some quality bowling, like you said. Shami, Umesh Yadav, Mohit Sharma, everybody, backed it up. All the bowlers backed up each other, even the 2 spinners coming to the party. They could have bowled the West Indies out for less than maybe 150 when you had the side, 70 out for 6, and then they get to 180. But still, before the flip of the coin, if you say that you as a side would be looking to chase 180, you take it any day of the week. But you're absolutely right. Certain areas where Team India cannot afford to slip up is their fielding. At the end of the day, you need to try and convert the half chances as well. You're getting close to the business end of the tournament, Himanshu. You cannot allow, missed or drop catches come the quarterfinal, because you'll be playing against quality opposition. You give quality sides another opportunity, opportunity to a frontline batsman. He will come back and make it hurt. So I'm sure Mahendra Singh Dhoni and the rest of the support staff will be looking to pull up their socks, at least in terms of their fielding department.
Bhuria, do you agree there with Nikhil? Some solid introspection required there as well as you enter into the business end of the event?
It's a hiccup is needed. This was half a hiccup, and I don't think it's bad at all. I mean, India sort of won against Pakistan in a canter. Against South Africa, we breezed through. Against UAE, it was a no contest. This one was a good one. I mean, it's always good to have these kind of matches leading into the business end. And Himanshu, this was the toughest. If you now think the pool, and unless India sort of loses big time, you will beat Ireland, beat Zimbabwe. So you play in Melbourne. And if you play Melbourne, then you play Sydney for the semi-finals. So for India, it actually opens up this competition quite beautifully, because the Melbourne track and the Sydney track will help the Indians. This was India's toughest contest. India will perhaps play England or Bangladesh in the quarters, and then probably in the semi-finals India might face Australia. But if you want to face Australia ever in any condition, it will be Sydney. So the quarterfinals and the semi-finals opens up. I'm happy that this hiccup happened. A wake-up call, half a wake-up call at least, is always good going into the business end.
Andrew, do you now think after 4 straight victories, India of course are at the top of the table, do you now sense a possibility of India, would you now strongly recommend India's name as the eventual World Cup winners?
Yeah, I don't know about winners, but they're definitely contenders. They've shown now throughout their 11-man side, which this is probably the side they're going to go with throughout, unless there's an injury, I would say. They've shown throughout that they're all hitting their straps. The top order scored runs, the middle order, and then Dhoni got some runs tonight, and Ashwin played nicely with him at the end there. So they're bowling well as a unit too. People had doubts about the Indian bowling at the start of the tournament. They've shown people what they're capable of. So as a group, if I was coaching the Indian side, I'd be quite content in the way that things are sort of unfolding at the moment. Obviously, the one area that sort of people don't speak about a great deal, but it sticks out when it doesn't go well, is fielding. Fielding is such an important part of one-day cricket. Your catching and your run-out opportunities are so important. If you can grasp onto the difficult chances and run players out, it makes a huge difference in your success rate as well.
All right, now let's go across to Srisha Reddy, who's joining us from Chennai, who's also got some fans with us. Srisha, give us a sense of the passion and intensity there in Chennai. Have they turned blue completely?
Well, exactly, because fans here they're waiting with nail biting moments to see exactly what is happening, what is going to happen in this particular match. Because these are a bunch of people, crazy cricket fans who were excited after India won that match. So what do you have to say about today's match? Was it a nail biting moment for you to see your favorite team win?
Yeah, the whole match was full of nail biting moments. India started good with Mohammad Shami and Umesh Yadav was bowling wonderfully. The opening spell was exciting. But it was an easy match only. Then when the second inning started, it was full of dramas only. When Shikhar Dhawan got out, then Rohit Sharma, we thought that India would lose that match itself, but our great hero Dhoni is there for us team.
So what do you have to say about today's match?
Yeah, it was a fine evening. Since the target was below 200, we expected it to end so sooner. But as usual, Dhoni was the one to finish it. We expected a helicopter shot.
Here is a cricket crazy fans, were of course expecting a helicopter shot from Dhoni. But yes, however, they are excited that India won this match.
Right. Thanks a lot, Srisha. Stay with us. We'll come back to you in a bit. Andrew, a very interesting point that I'd like to raise here. Chris Gayle, the way he played today, he looked a little unfit to me. His complete refusal to take singles was a little startling, surprising, really.
Yeah, he looked a bit, at times, he just went blank there with that run out with Samuels. It was quite strange to watch. The ball sort of lobbed towards mid-on. The ball didn't quite carry to the fielder. Samuels took off for a run and Gayle was ball watching. He didn't attempt to run at all, and then called out, sort of fairly weak sort of a no, and turned his back on Samuels, and he never left his crease. That was the disappointing thing. And Samuels ran all the way down and 3/4 of the way back, and was comfortably run out in the end. So it was a real sort of heartbreaking moment for the West Indies, because Samuels is also a key man at the top of the order.
Boria, what's your perspective on Chris Gayle's batting today? A little disappointing, the way he got out as well as the way he played today.
Very. I mean, it was acutely disappointing. That Marlon Samuels run out, he could have gotten out and then he just kept going. Every ball he was going for shots. It was just a matter of time. I mean, just a matter of time before you get out. You're the primary player, 2 wickets down, then you suddenly keep going for shots like that. It was a bit of a strange innings from Chris Gayle. Having said that, if he comes off, he looks brilliant. If he doesn't, he looks like a joker. So that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? But I was very disappointed. I thought Chris Gayle should have taken far more responsibility. But being an Indian supporter, I wouldn't complain. As I said, a hiccup was needed, a half hiccup was needed. We got it. Now we are getting into the business end of the tournament. We should top the group, and that's good news for India.
Nikhil, what's your perspective on the way Ravindra Jadeja and Virat Kohli got out? Both reckless shots, just when they were well settled.
I guess, it's hard when you're batting on 25, 30 odd. I guess that's the nature of their game. At least Virat Kohli, probably seeing the ball like a football, he felt that he could control that hook shot, but that extra bit of bounce from outside off stump is never an easy task at Perth. Well, I hope that he's had one blip in the World Cup and he doesn't repeat the same sort of mistake. Ravindra Jadeja, on the other hand, I thought that he could analyze the situation a lot better. He didn't need to play that sort of shot. When you've seen some of the batsmen who've been out there in the middle and you saw the bit of bounce as well, and you spent literally 50 overs out there in the field as well, you saw most of the West Indian batsmen also struggle against the short pitch stuff. You could have left it. Sometimes as a batsman, when you get these opportunities, you got to grab them with both hands. You had all the time in the world, Himanshu. You could leave those sort of deliveries even by just rotating strike. You could have won the game. Do not allow the opposition to get their foot back into the door. This could have been a lot more closer game had that inexperience of the West Indian captain Holder not shown.
A lot really needs to be seen on how Holder managed his troops, and of course he was the only saving grace for West Indies.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of questions sort of in people's heads at the moment about the West Indies side, but they look, to me, the batting order looks a little bit disorganised. Is Ramsden in the right spot? Is Russell in the right spot? I mean, the shot that Russell played today, that's a coach killer. That was is nearly unforgivable, in the circumstances. He just was happy to play like it was the last couple of overs of a 2020 match. Very disappointing for a captain and a coach, and they've got players like Curtly Ambrose there, mentoring and coaching and training these kids. So pride as well to these ex-players it will be hugely important. So a shot like that, it doesn't leave anything to be desired. I'd probably move him down the order, and the captain could promote himself up. Have they got Ramsden in the right place? I see him as a good finisher. He can come in and automatically knock the ball around and keep things moving.
Right.
So they look a little bit disorganised. I mean, it's always easy to pull apart a side when they've been beaten like they have today and played like they have today, but they need to regroup and get together as a unit, in my opinion.
Right. We're now joined by Shivani Gupta, who's joining us from Perth. She's also got Saurav Ganguly with her. Shivani, over to you.
Right. Thanks a lot, Himanshu. I have former India captain Saurav Ganguly with me. Saurav, not quite the match that we were expecting it to be. You said it would be low scoring, but did you expect such a poor batting display from the Windies first up?
I'm not surprised with the Windies because they looked a very fragile side in this World Cup. They lost to all big teams. South Africa smashed them, India beat them. They went past Pakistan, but they haven't been at top gear. The top order hasn't really fired. They might still scrape through into the last four, but India were a far better side and the better side won.
Yeah. You know, when we talked about the batting lineup of the Windies, it was all revolving around one man, that is Chris Gayle, a little bit maybe in the lower order. But once we had those early wickets and the shots that perhaps some of the Windies were playing, you know, Gayle was given 2 lives as well. He was living dangerously. Not the kind of batting display you would expect after the side wins the toss and elects to bat first, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. And not much of control in the batting. When you play one-day cricket, you drop and run, you rotate, especially on pitches like this which have pace and bounce. On a flat pitch you hit through the line because bowlers don't have much, but when you play on these sort of pitches you have to bat differently. You just cannot block and defend. These two cannot be your only options, and most of the West Indies batsmen, these two were the only options. They could hardly rotate. I think they missed Aaron Bravo at number 4, who's probably the best batsman in this team and would probably be able to control the game. There's no control in West Indies batting. It was either defense or slog, and you can't play against good sides that way. As I said, the better team won, and very rightly India will now go as the #1 team in the group.
Yeah, we'll talk about India's chase in just a bit, but what a stupendous bowling display it's turning out to be from India. I mean, they're bowling like such a tight test bowling unit. Where was this unit when we needed them in Australia against Australia in the test series?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a pleasant surprise, and they've turned it around hugely. I think the big situation, the big tournament has got them going, and I'm sure hopefully they'll learn from it, because you know they will realize as the tournament goes on that what made them such good bowlers, and hopefully day in day out they can do that. Because World Cup comes every 4 years, and but you want them to do well, right, every time, or not every time, maybe most of the times they walk out to play for the country, and it's been great to watch.
But that was such a big turnaround.
Yeah.
I mean, in 3 months, what's changed?
No, I said that, you know, we've been talking about it even in the tri-series, and we've been speaking about in the World Cup. I said the World Cup's going to be different. The reason I say this is because in Australia they're not playing Australia all the time, so that's a big change. You know, any team which comes to Australia gets under the pump of Australia for over 2.5 months and get to a stage where they can't win. And I think for me the most remarkable win has been that of South Africa, because South Africa, they are the teams which play on these sort of conditions. They're a better side than India over a period of time in these conditions. Pakistan and West Indies, I didn't give them much of a chance against India, and very rightly India finished on the winning side, and the rest of them are obviously the weaker ones. But I think the best sign for Indian team in this World Cup has been the win against South Africa. So I'm not surprised, as I said, they were playing different teams, and as much as India needed to get used to conditions in Australia, Pakistan and West Indies needed too. As I said, it's not like Australia and South Africa or New Zealand playing in these conditions day in, day out. Most of the teams who come here need to get used to the conditions as much as India did, and India were 2 months ahead of them. Yes, they may not have got the results, they were beaten.
They looked so different in the test series and even the tri-series. Mental test aspect cricket is one thing.
Yeah, but test cricket I'm still worried, because you don't see this bowling in test cricket, because you don't have to do it for 10 overs. You still have to run in and bowl good areas after tea in the evening, and that's why it's test cricket. You know, that's why it's a difficult part of cricket. So I don't think we can compare test and one days, but this World Cup they've been outstanding.
We'll talk more with Saurav Ganguly. I believe there's some questions coming in from the studio as well for him. Right,
Andrew, do you have any questions for Saurav, considering the way India played today?
Yeah, Saurav, I've just got one question. How do you think Suresh Raina is going with his batting at the moment?
So Andrew wants to know, how do you think Suresh Raina is doing currently with his batting?
He hit the ball well today though, but I think the short ball is still troubling him. He's playing too many shots against the short delivery, and he's never looked comfortable. And a short bowling is not just about playing shots, not just about hooking. And he's got to find a way to leave them, otherwise he'll be peppered. But then he doesn't have to play in Perth anymore in this World Cup. You know, they go to New Zealand and then they come back and they'll be in Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and then the finals in Adelaide. So Perth
In Melbourne, yeah.
Yeah, I beg your pardon, the finals in Melbourne. So Perth is done and dusted, and I don't think the short ball will create that much of hassle to everyone, as it has been right throughout the day, and I think he'll turn out well for India in the future games.
All right, Andrew, what do you think? Right, thank you so much, Shivani. Andrew, how do you think Rohit Sharma has played so far in this World Cup? He's clearly due for a big one. He was in prime form leading up in the lead up to the World Cup, and now all of a sudden we find him with just one good knock to show, that too against the UAE, but struggling.
Yeah, I think struggling numbers-wise. He always, to me, doesn't look out of touch. He got bowled out tonight. He got a good delivery. He had a similar ball for four a couple of overs before that. So for me, he's a quality act, Rohit. You know, he's got 2 double hundreds in one-day cricket. He's got that big innings in him at any point. He's a match winner. Personally, I'm not worried about him. I know Rohit and played quite a bit with him, so I'm confident that he'll contribute heavily at some point. It's still a long time to go in this competition, you know, and if he peels off a couple of big scores or gets 100 in a World Cup final or semi-final, that'll always be remembered. So he's got time on his side. He's a quality player, so that doesn't concern me at this point.
Right, Boria, of course, after this win, India are now entering into the New Zealand, the Kiwi leg of the World Cup. They're going to be playing the next 2 matches at Hamilton and Auckland. Do you sense probably a different way of preparation moving forward for Team India, given the conditions, the pitches, and everything is going to be changing to an extent?
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mean, there will be change. Maybe Stuart Binney will come into the equation now that you've qualified. You don't expect to lose against Ireland and Zimbabwe, Himanshu, so you should top the group. You will get ready for the business end. So that preparation will definitely start now from the New Zealand leg. With your permission, I have 2 small questions for Saurabh. One, is he satisfied with Ravindra Jadeja's batting at number 7? Today, if you see the ball before, Mahendra Singh Dhoni tried to calm him down, did not work, got out. And a word on Mahendra Singh Dhoni's knock. How important it is that the captain spend time there out in the middle before going into the business end of the competition.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is the biggest positive of this game is Mahendra Singh Dhoni getting runs, because as we've said before, that the lower order needs to contribute. He got an opportunity to bat and he took his time, and I thought it was a good innings because this was not an easy wicket to bat on. He took his time, he ran well between the wickets, which he always does, and once again proved that he's a quality one-day player. This is a good sign for India, because now all the top 6 has had hit in the middle and have got runs as well. So I think it's a very good thing for Dhoni and the team as well.
Right, Saurabh, what's your perspective on...
and a word on Jadeja?
Sure. Yeah, he's got to get runs, but this was always a difficult wicket for him. This pitch had pace, this pitch had bounce, and the Australians, and I beg your pardon, the West Indians peppered him with the short stuff. So from that point of view, it was always difficult for him. This pitch would have always been difficult for someone like Suresh Raina. And had the West Indies got about 40-45 runs more, this game could have gone closer. But then India have played well. They will top the group now, and obviously will wait for the quarterfinals to be decided between England and Bangladesh.
Saurabh, of course, some serious work required there in terms of fielding. 4 dropped catches can really take away the match from you.
No, I think India are a good fielding side, so the drop catches may be one-off. They have been a very good fielding side for a period. I don't think it's too much to worry. This will pass by, and by the time that they play the next game, and I think they're going to New Zealand, which will give them a bit of a breather, because they're playing 2 weaker teams in Ireland and Zimbabwe. So by the time they get to the next game, their fielding will be also top draw.
Nadi, you were at the ground commentating. Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Shami coming back into good stead. How great an effort was Mohit Sharma's? You know, the way he came, ran in and bowled his heart.
Yeah, he's bowled superbly. He's been a revelation in this World Cup, Mohit Sharma. And even Mohammad Shami and Umesh Yadav. You know, the transformation we have seen in the last 3 weeks is something hard to believe, and something which has been very, very pleasant and very, very satisfying for all of us who support Indian cricket. And hopefully they can continue, because it's half of the World Cup which is through, and the most important half will start shortly.
Right, Saurav, what's your perspective on Chris Gayle? He looked unfit to me. His complete refusal to take singles was a little surprising.
Line got disconnected.
You want sugar?
Anyways, we'll go back to Saurav when that link is restored. Nikhil, what's your perspective on Chris Gayle's batting today, and of course India's bowling to him as well?
Well, I guess we bowled very disciplined line and length. We didn't allow him to free his arms. The way he gets on his job, the boundaries wasn't coming. And sometimes as a batsman, you need to analyze and read situations. Dada earlier in the show said a very important thing, and we've been speaking about it during the mid-inning as well. Difficult conditions, you need to rotate strike. If you allow the bowlers to bowl 3-4 deliveries in an over to you, in these sort of conditions, there are more opportunities for the bowler to get you out. And I guess when you're going block and trying to hit a boundary, things are not coming your way, then you're looking to manufacture shots, and that sometimes can hurt you. And if you look at the West Indies setup, Himanshu, you've got what? Chris Gayle and Marlon Samuels, literally the backbone where everybody else is going to be looking to bat around you. So that's important, that you rotate, strike and keep that scoreboard ticking. I guess West Indies were not able to do that, and that's why they dug themselves in a big hole.
Right, Andrew, what's your perspective on Dhoni's likely strategy now moving forward? Like I said, India now going to be entering the Kiwi leg of the World Cup. Do you expect Dhoni's strategy to change in any way?
No, I don't. I think India going to New Zealand will suit India. The smaller grounds, flat wickets, they won't come across a wicket like the Wacker in New Zealand. So India, at this point, they seem to be snowballing. They just seem to be getting into their stride at this point in the competition. They're halfway through. As I said, everyone's had a good run now. So the match fitness is there, the confidence is there, and I think they've probably got their best 11 starting to sort of fire on all cylinders now.
Right, Boria, you seem to be having a question for Saurav. Please go ahead.
Dada, the way India is playing, you had said in one of our earlier shows that you wanted a bit of a hiccup. Do you consider this to be one? You said you wouldn't mind if India loses one going into the business end, but this was close. This should get them ready for the business end of the tournament, isn't it?
No, I don't think this was a hiccup. I thought it was a convincing win. Yes, India lost 6 wickets, but I was hearing Andrew say, and very rightly, that India will not be getting a pitch like the Wacker anywhere else in this competition anymore. And when you play on a wicket like the Perth, when you lose the toss, it just quickens up in the night. There was pace, there was swing, and I thought the West Indies bowlers bowled very well on this pitch. They just didn't have enough runs on the board. 225, 240 would have been a winning total on this surface. So I don't think it's a hiccup. And India, I think, are going well, going very, very well, rather, to be honest.
Dadi, looking at the West Indies side, did you feel while you were there doing commentary that there are probably a couple of groups now in the West Indies side, and the young, inexperienced Jason Holder's trying to regroup the West Indies together a bit, especially the crunch situations, since he wasn't getting any advice from anywhere?
I don't think there's enough quality in these West Indies sides, Nikhil, with due respect to everyone. When you look at the batting, when you look at the top order batting, when you look at Dwayne Smith and Chris Gayle and Marlon Samuels, and then the new batsman at number 4, you realize that there's not much of talent in that batting order. Dwayne Smith averages 19 in one-day cricket. Carter, who came in at 4, averages 20 in one-day cricket. Now, when you're a top side in the world, and you ask Andrew Simons, when Australia were at their best, they've had Hayden, Gilchrist, Ponting, who were averaging almost 50 in one-day cricket, or maybe in the high 40s. India went at their best. You look at this Indian batting lineup: Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Shekhar Dhawan, they are averaging in the high 40s in one-day cricket. And the West Indies on the other side, they have players who are averaging 19 and 20, and there's too much pressure on Chris Gayle, who's himself struggling with form. And on a wicket like Perth, it's okay playing on a low flat batting surface, but on a wicket like Perth, your skills are different. You have to rotate the strike, you have to run well, you have to guts it out with the new ball and then get set and then play differently with the old ball. The game at Perth is from the last 25 overs, and if you lose 5 or 6 wickets in the first 25 overs, you're out of the game. So I don't think this West Indies side has got enough ability to go through. I think they will scrape it through the quarter-final stage, and then the best teams will take over.
Right, Saurav, the way the Indian bowlers have bowled so far gives the impression that the conditions are almost tailor-made for them. Is that the impression that you get as well?
I think they've bowled well everywhere in Australia in this World Cup, and it's an amazing turnaround since the end of the tri-series, and something which I have found it hard to gather. The intensity has been good. They've bowled with a purpose. They've bowled sharp. Mohammad Shami and Umesh Yadav have bowled in the high 140s, and they've looked a completely different outfit, which is so good to see, and it's been really heartening for all of us who are supporting India in this World Cup. There's still a lot of cricket left in this World Cup, and they've got a couple of weaker games coming up, and then the most important part of the World Cup will start.
Right, Andrew, of course, now with, like sort of rightly mentioned, now with 2 games coming up against much weaker sides, the Indian batsmen will really have to guard against complacency, because there's always that risk of being complacent and then, a big upset.
Yeah, that's right. The minnow sides can be danger sides. You can have a couple of easy hit outs, and then say in three games time, India are going to come up against one of the big fish, and they cop a real slap in the first 5 or 10 overs, and they might be slightly off the pace, and they miss the jump. So they're going to have to be mindful of that leading into these next 2 games. But there's not a real negative thing to say about the Indian side at the moment. They're playing good cricket. They won again tonight, and as Dada said there, the Perth is a tricky pitch, and the West Indies got caught out on it, tried to take it on, and weren't up to it. And India played well enough to, in the end, comprehensively get over the top of the West Indies.
Right.
If we have enough time, I'll ask Dadi one more question. Dadi, do you think getting into New Zealand, there might be a possibility where Stuart Binney gets a game in place of maybe Jadeja, since we're already looking to top the group?
No, I think India should persist with Jadeja, because when they come back to Australia to play the quarterfinals and semi-finals, they will need Jadeja. They will need another spinner at the MCG, at the SCG, and then if they get to the finals, it's Melbourne for them. So the conditions will require a second spinner, and I think it'll be a good opportunity for them to give Jadeja some form with the bat. Maybe push him up the order and get him to bat and get some runs under his belt, because he's bowled well. His bowling hasn't been that ordinary in this World Cup. He's done a good job for Dhoni, and if he gets runs with the bat, and I think it'll strengthen the side. So they should persist with Jadeja, because when they come back to Australia, they'll need 2 spinners.
Right, Saurav, in fact, I've got a very interesting piece of stat with me. The Indian bowlers lead the World Cup economy rates right now with 4.2. Of course, New Zealand is second with 4.3 and Australia third with 4.9. That's really incredible. The Indian bowlers are leading this World Cup in an ODI tournament in terms of the economy rates.
Yeah, as I said, it's a pleasant surprise to see the turnaround, and I think that's why they are the #1 team in the group, because Andrew will agree, and all of you will agree, that the bowlers win you games and set up games for you, and for India, that's been the case. They've dismissed Pakistan for 240, they've dismissed South Africa for 170, they've dismissed West Indies for 180, and UAE for 110. So the bowlers have been on song in this World Cup, and it's great to watch when other teams are scoring 300, 400. India have restricted teams to 150, 180 and 110. Only Pakistan have gone past 200 mark, and that to slightly over 200, 220, 225. So it's a great thing for Indian cricket for this tournament, and hopefully they can keep continuing, because as we all know, the important part of the tournament will start once they get back from New Zealand.
Right. Final comments from everyone. Let me start with you, Andrew. Scope for improvement for the Indian cricket team moving forward now?
Oh, look, I wouldn't complicate it too much if I was in the Indian camp. I'd make sure the players have a day off and they go and do something they enjoy, get away from cricket. I wouldn't be pounding them with any sort of negativity. I think they're playing good cricket. They've been a side that's unbeaten, and I'd just be pumping them full of positive things. Give them a couple of days off, go and do what they want, go and enjoy seeing something in Australia there, and get away from cricket. One thing that they will and should work on hard, though, is their fielding. They don't want to leave anything to chance there. That's one thing you can control, is your fielding. So wickets and what have you can't control how they're prepared, but your fielding, that's up to the individual. And as a group, if you're fielding well, it generally means that you're very tight and you're playing good cricket.
Right, Nikhil, closing comments from you on the Indian cricket team, things that they can get right moving forward?
Well, I guess the most important thing, they're batting well, they're bowling well. Like Andrew said, fielding is one department, but every fielder, you know, the 11, intensity is high, you're looking hungry on the field, you're looking to get a run out, everybody. And anything in the air, obviously you need to grab it, you know, try and convert the half chances, because come the business end, like I said earlier, Himanshu, you cannot have any blips in the field. So that's one area I think they'll be looking to work on.
Right, Saurav, do you agree with what Andrew and Nikhil had to say? Fielding, of course, an important area that the Indian team management needs to look at while moving forward.
I don't think, I completely agree with Andrew that they don't need to complicate things and worry too much. Don't fix things which are not broke. Yes, they've dropped a few catches, but overall in the last 1 year in one-day cricket, they've been an outstanding fielding side. They haven't dropped many. So this will pass, you know, they are human, we all are humans, we've all had poor games either with the bat, ball or in the field, but India are winning. So as he says, don't complicate, just move on to the next game and play as it comes. You know, sometimes you think too many things, try and get too many things right, and you break things up. So just leave it as it is, rest and go to New Zealand and prepare for the next game.
Right. Final comments from you, Boria. Now, it's been a spirited performance by the Indian team so far. Is this group of players reminding you of, in any way, of the 83 bunch that played and won the World Cup in 83?
Why 83? It's Dhoni's World Cup in 2011. You just need to go back 4 years. They're playing wonderful cricket. Saurav and Andrew summed it up beautifully. Keep it going. Enjoy yourself. 2 months you were under the cosh. You've turned it around. Keep enjoying. Just one thing. The World Cup starts 18th of March. Before that, whatever has happened is history. The real World Cup starts 18th of March and you should be prepared.
Right. Many thanks to everyone for joining us on the show. Well, that's all we have on this special show. But before we go, we leave you with visuals of fans celebrating the win outside the Waka Stadium in Perth.
It turned out to be a difficult chase, a low-score chase, but difficult. In the end, though, India has turned out to be the winner once again here at Perth. And 4 matches. Super horse. Nothing could be better than this. This is the first time in a group stage that India have won their first 4 matches, dismissing the opposition teams. Extremely happy with the Indian performance.
Dhoni all the way! Dhoni!
The bowlers performed really well today, but the batting, were you disappointed with that a little bit?
Oh look, they got off to a very, very shaky start, and then it was the old man, the wise man, the old warhorse Kohli just came in and just did it at the end. Good on you, India. Go on.
Right, Indian fans extremely happy. Do you think India will win the World Cup now?
Yes, Joe, we're going to beat Australia in the finals and we won't give it back.
We won't give it back is the chant once again. Auntie, are you happy with India's performance?
Yes, बहुत अच्छी लगी परफॉर्मेंस इंडिया की. इंडिया जीत गया, बहुत खुशी आई. होली भी है, डबल खुशी हो गई.
और होली बनाएंगे अब आप घर जाके.
जीत जारी है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया तेरी बारी है. इंडिया की जीत जारी है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया तेरी बारी है. इंडिया की जीत जारी है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया तेरी बारी है.